Hello, welcome, please come in. It's time to hop back into Pokemon for our next series, in which we will be beating a number of different Pokemon games using only Psychic-type Pokemon. And the knowledgeable among you may already be asking, what are you talking about? How in the world is this going to be a challenge? And the answer, dear viewer, is it won't be. At least not in this game. The Psychic-type has had one of the wildest journeys throughout the series, starting off as the unmitigated champion of busted types, and ending up kind of mid, maybe even low mid. And while Psychic is not as busted in Gen 3, it is still busted in a Kanto playthrough of Gen 3, for reasons I'll explain as we go, which makes it the ideal place to start this type's fall from grace. But there will be time to get to that later. First, I need to use the Pokemon Randomizer to replace my starter. I can't get access to any Psychic types until after the first gym, and while the first Psychic type you can get is Abra, Abra won't learn any attacking moves until level 16, so it would be useless against Brock. As such, I have replaced my starter with Drowsy, which you can get basically at the same time. I have also taken the liberty of enabling trait evolutions for reasons that are, or will soon be, pretty obvious, which means trait evolutions will be acquired at level 37. Anywho, I've decided my rival should get Squirtle. Blastoise and Charizard are equally neutral against Psychic types, and Blastoise is more defensive. Given Psychic's ability to hit very hard very quickly, but crumple under the slightest physical attack, Blastoise is probably the hardest of the three starters. Initial nonsense completed, it's into Viridian Forest. While this forest is full to the bursting with Bug-type Pokemon, which is a type that is strong against Psychic, all the bugs in this forest are very weak and don't actually learn any Bug-type moves at these levels. Bug is really only strong against Psychic in theory. In practice, Bug is good against nothing for several more generations. As such, there are no actually interesting fights to get into on the way to the first gym. As a reminder, or new information if this is your first video, I will be using rare candies to level up my Pokemon. The question of how long it takes to grind up Pokemon is not the point of this video. But I will be limited to the highest level Pokemon of the next accessible gym leader. Oh, and no healing items in battles, and I will be playing on set style. Alright, time for the first gym against Brock, and he crumples. Drowsy learns Confusion at level 11, and while Brock's Pokemon are both neutral against Psychic, they have pretty bad special defense stats. I do take the time to put the Onix to sleep with Hypnosis, but likely wouldn't have needed to. Confusion is just so strong at this point in the game. Alright, one gym down, and it's time to head east to Mount Moon. Now one thing I do actually need to be careful about is making sure I don't over-level. My new level cap is 21, and only having one Pokemon means Drowsy is going to be getting a lot of experience. Mount Moon itself is pretty easy as well. While there are a decent number of trainers here, Confusion has a lot of power points and can take out most Pokemon in 1 or 2 hits. Drowsy isn't the strongest Pokemon, but it is, comparatively, fairly durable. And we arrive in Cerulean City, just in time for the first, and frankly probably last, difficult match in the entire run. My rival. There are a number of reasons this fight is actually difficult. Pidgeotto is fast, can hit fairly hard, and loves to use a sand attack to reduce my accuracy. I can usually get past it, thanks in part to Hypnosis, but then I get to deal with Pokemon 2, Rattata, which wouldn't generally be concerning, but Rattata is disproportionately dangerous at this level thanks to Hyper Fang, an 80 base power physical move, which is very bad. And while Squirtle is comparatively less dangerous, it is tanky, and usually I'm close to 0 HP by the time I even reach the Squirtle. Thankfully, his 4th Pokemon is an Abra, which has no attacking moves. The biggest concern is actually that I don't want to risk over-leveling. I only have 1 Pokemon, and after this fight, I need to face down 6 more trainers before I can add a Pokemon to my team. So, while I could use rare candies to get up to a better level, it is risky to do so. Okay, this is not working at this level. I am just going to need to level up to level 19. I managed to get past Pidgeotto, taking no damage, though I do suffer an accuracy drop, and take out Rattata with 2 Confusions. I do miss a couple times against Squirtle, but I get lucky with a Confusion and finally take out the Squirtle. My HP is low at this point, but it doesn't matter because Abra can't attack. Okay, so that is the rival down, but now I have to get through the Nugget Bridge trainers without over-leveling. And it's real close, but I do manage to take out the last trainer without over-leveling, by the skin of my teeth. And that, thankfully, means I can add another Pokemon to my roster, Abra. The Abra doesn't have the best nature, but honestly, it's Gen 3 Kanto, I don't actually care. And I make sure to pick up 2 while I'm here, because I'll need the second one later. Now, I could fight Misty, but her ace is Starmie, which will resist my Psychic-type attacks, which means it's time for a road trip. after spending some rare candies to evolve Abra into Kadabra. Kadabra is going to have to solo any trainers I run into, though, because Drowsy cannot afford a single additional victory or it will break the level cap. Next up, time to fight a few easy trainers as I make my way over to Bill, helping him unteleport himself, and he will give me the SSN ticket, which is not actually my priority, but completing this story beat also prompts Team Rocket to break into this house. This means I can head through the destroyed back wall, beat up the grunt in question, and head south. This underground tunnel will take me just north of Vermilion City. Oh, and to the east of the city is the route where you would normally get Drowsy. So, see, barely any distance between Drowsy and Abra, and certainly no major trainers. Anywho, into and through Diglett Cave, and I'm back to just south of Viridian Forest. Because in this house, I can trade that second Abra I caught earlier to get a Mr. Mime. This will be my strongest Pokemon until Kadabra evolves. And because I never actually stopped at a Poké Center between Cerulean and here, I can just teleport all the way back. Okay, time to get the team up to the level cap, and it's into the Misty fight. I lead with Mr. Mime because he knows both screen-type moves. Oh right, I forgot about Obedience. Mr. Mime is too strong to obey my orders. He does still manage to take out Staryu though. And while Water Pulse does deal pretty good damage, Drowsy can put Starmie to sleep and do some headbutts. Misty uses a potion, Drowsy goes down, and it's into Kadabra, who has nothing other than Psychic-type moves. However, I get lucky with Psybeam inflicting confusion so my Kadabra can win the fight. Honestly, that was a lot closer than I expected it to be. That confusion proc was pretty clutch. Defeating Misty means I can now use Cud outside of combat, so it is time to head over to Vermilion City and onto the SSN for another rival fight. Which goes much better thanks to having more than one Pokemon. I have Mr. Mime use Reflect before finishing off Pidgeotto with Confusion. Why can Mr. Mime learn Magical Leaf? Oh well, it's a 60 base power move that bypasses accuracy. I'll take it. It is also immediately useful against Wartortle. And Raticate deals no damage thanks to Reflect before also dropping. And while Kadabra is scary, it can't deal any damage with its resisted moves, and I actually have a non-resisted attack. So that went way better. And I grab Cud by giving an old man a massage. Catch a Meowth, teach it Cud, and it's into the Vermilion City Gym. Excuse me while I scream into the uncaring void while trying to find these switches. Huzzah! That took less time than normal. Still one of the worst gyms in Pokemon. Alright, let's see what Lieutenant Surge has to offer. Steel types do resist psychic moves, but the only steel types in Gen 3 Kanto are Magnemite, which Lieutenant Surge does not use for some reason. I lead with Drowsy to put Voltorb to sleep, then switch into Mr. Mime to set up Light Screen and take out Voltorb and Pikachu. Raichu does love to boost evasion, but thankfully Magical Leaf bypasses accuracy. Mr. Mime isn't quite able to finish off the Raichu thanks to Paralysis, but Kadabra can pop in to finish off the fight. 3 gyms down. Ooh, I should teach Kadabra Shockwave. It's a non-psychic type move with decent pace power and perfect accuracy. So, it's back to Cerulean City to head east to Rock Tunnel. I do need to be a bit careful here, not because anything is dangerous, it's absolutely not, especially with Magical Leaf. No, I'm actually just worried about the level cap. Erika's ace is only level 29, and especially with Mr. Mime gaining increased experience from being a traded Pokemon, my Pokemon are fast approaching that level already. And on the way, Drowsy evolves into Hypno, which is a decent improvement. It's still weaker than either Kadabra or Mr. Mime, but it's better. Past Rock Tunnel is Lavender Town, which has nothing I care about right now. I just need to head west to get to another underground pathway to take me to Celadon City. And I want to immediately face down Erika to get the level cap raised. Erika has 2 Pokemon at level 29, both are poison types. Yeah, this is not a particularly difficult gym. Mr. Mime solos the entire fight despite getting poisoned. Psybeam is a pretty strong move, but that was never going to be a tough fight regardless. Beating Erika raises the level cap to 43, a huge jump that thankfully gives me a lot of leeway for the rest of the game. I won't need to be as mindful about over-leveling for the rest of the playthrough. And it means it's time to head into the Rocket hideout under the Game Corner, which culminates in my first Giovanni fight. He leads with Onyx, who goes down to 2 confusions, but then it's into Kangaskhan, an actually pretty scary Pokemon at this stage in the game. Mr. Mime is up to set up Reflect to drastically reduce physical damage, and a few Psybeams finish it off, thanks to a timely crit. And Magical Leaf is 4 times effective against Rhyhorn. First Giovanni fight down with minimal fanfare. Silph Scope now in hand, I can head back to Lavender Town. This rival fight is meant to be done earlier, so he's very under-leveled, and the fight is not worth talking about, so we can just move on to getting the Pokeflute. And the Pokeflute opens up a lot of stuff for me to do. First up is to run all the way back through Rock Tunnel to get to Cerulean, and then to get to Vermilion to grab the bike voucher and bicycle, respectively. And yes, some of you are correctly pointing out that I could have gotten the T to unlock the route through Saffron City, or use the Pokeflute to fight the Snorlax, blocking the path south of Lavender to Vermilion directly. And yeah, you are very right, and I completely forgot about both of those until it was simply too late to not make myself look like an idiot. So here we are, pretty far along in this recording chunk, having wasted a lot of time. Oh, and I could have picked up the Fly HM west of Celadon and just flown directly there. Lots of errors from me here. Anyway, grab the Fly HM and a wingless bird to use it, and then on to Cycling Road. I want to head to Fuchsia City. The next two gyms have the same level cap, so I need to be sure to get the gym leader fights at the same time, and be careful not to over-level fighting the first one. But there is a lot to do before I get to that. In Fuchsia, I can grab the good rod from this fisherman and head directly into the Safari Zone. I immediately catch a Rhyhorn by mistake in one try because I'm just spamming A. Then a Doduo in one throw, which I also didn't want, so just some random Pokemon. There we go, my actual goal of an Execute, which runs away. Of course the Pokemon I actually want refuses to be caught. There we go, Execute, my next Psychic type that also adds a Grass typing to the team for coverage. I mean, Grass is not especially useful coverage, particularly with Mr. Mime already having Magical Leaf, but hey. Then bike south of Lavender Town to speak to another fisherman to grab the Super Rod, which is the fishing rod I actually care about. Back in Pallet Town, I can fish off the south coast to catch a Staryu. Not a Psychic type yet, but it will be when it evolves. To that end, I actually go fly back to Celadon to pick up the Water and Leaf Stone I will need shortly. And by shortly, I actually mean right now, at least for Staryu, because I can get it up to level 30 via rare candies, and there are actually no more moves in its learn set that I actually want. Because Surf is an HM, and Staryu's learn set is pretty bad. Execute will have to wait to evolve a little bit, though. Okay, now take the T from Celadon to get access to Saffron City and Silph Co., which is a very big building with many confusing pathways and teleports. That is actually very easy to get through in like 5 minutes once you know where the key card is and the final series of doors. So, it's time for another rival fight. Oh right, I paused my recording and forgot to unpause while I was leveling up. Please enjoy this footage of me trying to leave myself some notes so I could script something during this break. I am so good at using OBS. Seriously, look at that text. Anyway, Kadabra evolved into Alakazam at level 37. That's not how you spell Executor, and also no, I did not evolve Execute yet. My entire party is at level 38 though, I did at least get that part right. Anyway, summary done, let's get into the actual fight. Despite Shockwave, Alakazam can't one-shot Pidgeotto, and Blastoise is having none of it. And there is the Bite, one of Psychic's actually meaningful weaknesses. Good thing there are no actual Dark types in Kanto. Alakazam goes down, so I send in Mr. Mime to finish off Blastoise. Then switch into Starmie to finish off Growlithe. Then back into Mr. Mime to fight Execute, which is thankfully pretty weak because I don't actually have any good attacks against it. And then back into Starmie to fight Alakazam, which is very scary because it keeps spamming Calm Mind and Recover. Good thing Starmie has Confuse Ray. I don't get as lucky as I'd like, but at this point that Alakazam is probably strong enough to start sweeping my team. If I'd ever used an attacking type move, that is. And now I evolve Execute into Exeggutor, which means the team is nearly, but not completely, assembled. Anyway, time for another Giovanni fight. Nidorino is a poison type. Nidoqueen, well, bulky, is also a poison type. Kangaskhan is fairly strong, but Exeggutor is a criminal who has Sleep Powder and Leech Seed. Grass types are just so awful. Rhyhorn? Rhyhorn! Jeez, okay, fine. I'll send in Starmie to finish you off with a Surf. Jerk. Anyway, that's another Giovanni fight down. And it's really time to accelerate through the latter half of the game. Back in Viridian, I can catch a Poliwhirl, which I can then trade with this man to get my final team member, Jinx. This adds the Ice type to my list of secondary types, which will be a very nice boon to the team. Back to Fuchsia to beat up all the trainers on the way to Koga. Current level cap is 43, but I need to leave a bit of wiggle room for the experience I'll get fighting Koga. Also, it's a poison gym. I don't need to be at max level for this, not even a little bit. So, yeah, I lead with Alakazam, my strongest Pokemon, and then I press Psychic. And then I press Psychic. And then Psychic. And Psychic. Great gym fight. Alakazam was 4 levels below cap and one-shot swept the entire gym, with no buffs. Anyway, back to Saffron City. None of the trainers in this gym are required to actually reach Sabrina, so it's into the next gym fight. After I level everyone up to 43. Sabrina is resistant to my Psychic-type moves and has her own Alakazam, so this may be a bit more complicated than other gyms. I lead with Mr. Mime to set up Reflect, then into Exeggutor to be a criminal. I don't have any good attacks against Psychic types, but when Leech Seed is percentage-based, that's actually fine. Why does Sabrina have a Venomoth? It can be one-shot by Psychic. Then she sends in her Mr. Mime, which can be put to sleep. Huh, I didn't know Sabrina had a full heal. Looks like she only has one, though. Oh, Mr. Mime has Baton Pass. Good thing it only got off one Calm Mind. Then put Alakazam to sleep and send in Exeggutor to do crime, before it goes down as well. Fortunately, my Alakazam is a bit faster and can finish off the last of Alakazam's HP with Shockwave, then finish off the very weakened Mr. Mime. Okay, that is 6 gyms down, and thanks to Leech Seed and Sleep Powder, that was way easier than I thought it might be. But there is no time to mess around. It's time to surf all the way to Cinnabar Island, use Copious Repels to avoid fights in the mansion, and pick up the key to the 7th gym. Ooh, also the Blizzard TM? That may end up being very useful. Into the Quiz Gym, where I do have to fight one trainer because I was spamming A and answered one of the questions wrong, and it's Blaine time. I'm leading with Starmie because duh, and Starmie one-shots Growlithe. Then Arcanine, then Ponyta, and finally Rapidash. Yep, that was another one-shot sweep of a gym. Thank you, Surf. I have no idea why you were such a strong attack, but I appreciate your existence. And then through the last gym into Giovanni, the final gym leader. I lead with Mr. Mime, who one-shots the Rhyhorn, then the Doug Trio, then the Nidoqueen, and the Nidoking, and a final Rhyhorn. So that was the 3rd gym that I was able to one-shot. This is a really difficult challenge run, everyone. Okay, and it's time for another rival fight. I lead with Mr. Mime by mistake, so I switch into Jinx, who can one-shot Pidgeot and Rhyhorn with Ice Punch. Then switch into Starmie to surf down Growlithe, then into Alakazam to deal basically no damage to Blastoise. Okay, I don't appreciate your special bulk and dark attacks. Once Alakazam drops, I switch in Mr. Mime to finish off Blastoise, then 2 Psychics to drop Execute. And finally, Mr. Mime needs to 1v1 my rival's Alakazam, which goes not great, and I probably should have dropped here, but my rival wastes a turn using Future Sight, and then I get a critical hit to finish the fight. And all that remains is Victory Road in the Elite Four. Victory Road is a big nothing test as normal. I do know the route better than I used to, so I am able to get through the area faster than I used to be able to, which is appreciated because it's not a super interesting area. Okay, time to do final preparations for the Elite Four. First, I need to buy what healing I can afford so I can heal somewhat between fights. Then, to level up the party to the level cap of the first Elite Four member, Lorelei, which means getting my entire party to level 54. And I think I'll teach Alakazam Calm Mind in case I need some setup. Blizzard to Starmie to get some more ice damage coverage, and Giga Drain on Exeggutor so I have some good grass-type damage. Alright, let's do this. I lead with Exeggutor. I want to Leech Seed and Sleep Powder, but Dugong ruins my fun by using Safeguard, and then Ice moves to drop Exeggutor. But that's okay, I can now send an Alakazam to use Calm Mind. Dugong only has special attacks, so the continued boosting of my special defense, combined with Leech Seed, helps keep Alakazam alive long enough to get 4 Calm Minds out. And then from there, it's just spam Shockwave to take out Dugong, Lapras, Cloyster, and Slowbro. Because, while Lorelei is an Ice-type specialist, she also does love Water types. Even 4 times boosted, Shockwave is not enough to kill Jinx. But I can then send in Starmie, who resists all of Jinx's attacks. A freeze? Really? Fine, I'll switch into Hypno to take out the last of your stupid HP. Stupid Jinx. Okay, I need to use more healing items after that fight than I wanted, but that should be fine. Lorelei can be a bit of a wall, so let's see how the next Elite Four member goes. Bruno, the fighting type specialist who inexplicably uses 2 Onyxes on his team instead of Poliwrath and or Primeape. So I start with Exeggutor to Leech Seed and Sleep, then into Alakazam to set up with Calm Mind. Alakazam doesn't have any super effective moves against Onix, but Psychic is still strong enough to take out all of Bruno's team. Okay, next up is Agatha, who has scary ghost types, but there are no scary ghost type moves in this game to actually take advantage of Psychic type's weakness, and of course, all ghost types are also poison types. So I lead with Mr. Mime, who, say it with me, Psychic sweeps all of Agatha's Pokemon in one-shot kills. Oh, ghost types, you're so bad in this game. Alright, Time for something that Psychic isn't super effective against, Lance and his many dragons. I lead with Alakazam so I can Shockwave down Lance's Gyarados, then Shockwave again to take out Aerodactyl, albeit after taking a speed drop and some damage. When Dragonite comes in, I switch to Starmie, who drops it with Blizzard, then takes out a Dragonair with Blizzard. Starmie can then heal itself with Recover and use Blizzard again to bring down Lance's last Dragonair. Well, that was super easy, so glad I have some ice coverage. And it's time to use all my healing and power point restoring items in preparation for the final fight, the last rival battle. He leads with Pidgeot as normal, I lead with Alakazam. Shockwave isn't a one-shot, so I switch over to Starmie, who can finish off Pidgeot with Surf. Then Arcanine comes in to get one-shot with Surf. Blastoise is in next and is very durable. I'll throw out a Confuse Ray to try and mitigate Blastoise's attacks, and then into Exeggutor to drop a Leech Seed and Sleep Powder. And it is back into Alakazam to use a Calm Mind before Shockwaving down the Blastoise. The rival sends in his own Alakazam next, but it doesn't have any good attacks against me and drops 2 more Shockwaves. Rhydon looks scary, but one Psychic takes it out, and all that's left is Exeggutor. It tries to stay alive by setting up a Light Screen, and by using a Full Restore, and by putting Alakazam to sleep, but I can send in Jinx to barely survive an attack and finish the fight off with an Ice Punch. And that was Pokémon LeafGreen, beaten with only Psychic types. And as expected, that was not even slightly difficult. Outside of a few early fights before my team was set up, Psychic types are just so strong, with the Steel and Dark types that can normally wall them being basically non-existent in Kanto. But I will have more to say about that in the summary video out in a few weeks. I did want to shout out that I do have a Patreon, linked in the description. I spend a lot of time making these videos. So if you enjoyed the video, want to support the channel, and are financially stable enough to do so, that exists. No pressure though, this channel is free to enjoy for everyone, and will remain that way. For now, if you like this video, be sure to hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of this, feel free to subscribe. Hey, maybe leave a comment if you have something you'd like to say. But whatever you decide to do, have a safe trip home.